This month, we're going to focus on our hips. Today, we'll focus on some of the hip muscles and rotational movements they allow the hip joints to make. The piriformis is one of the main lateral rotators, along with the gluteus maximus. When we engage these muscles in a standing position, we roll our thigh out and our lower leg, ankle, and foot follow. An easy way to see if your lateral rotators are active is to stand in mountain pose and see if your legs want to splay out or your toes kind of rotate to the outside, so to the right and the left, instead of going straight. How much focus and effort does it take to point your toes forwards or bring your big toe joints together? Of course, we need to take the ankle, pelvis, and anatomical differences between each person into account as we do this type of self-assessment. Perhaps your legs don't want to roll laterally, but want to pull in medially. So, in other words, if your toes want to pull in towards one another, if your hips, those muscles are tight and it's going down that kinetic chain. Sometimes we can see those changes in our limbs. So, if your legs are pulling medially, what then might be a little overactive? The medial rotators. Gluteus medius and minimus are two of the main medial rotators. And like the piriformis, of course, there are other synergists or helper muscles, but we're going to focus on mostly these ones for today. Gluteus minimus and gluteus medius are medial rotators, and therefore they oppose a lateral rotation. This means if we're constantly engaged in medial or lateral rotation too much, it might stretch out our other muscle group a little too much. Balance is key to homeostasis and health. Therefore, when we practice yoga, we should strive to both engage, strengthen, and stretch both muscle groups. In other words, when we practice, we shouldn't do all forward folds or all hip openers, right? We should mix and match. So we can engage in lateral rotation in poses like goddess, and we can lengthen those same muscles through a figure 4 stretch or pigeon pose. The medial rotators engage when we do poses like garland, or another name for that one is a yogi squat, and they're stretched when we engage in lateral rotation. So lateral rotation stretches the medial rotators and vice versa. But this gets tricky because in poses such as bound angle and a squat, the hips are abducted, which is another action of some of those medial rotators. This just exemplifies how everything works together and how when we think about engaging one specific muscle, really many must fire for us to achieve our movement goals.